Okay, so welcome to the third episode of Chrome, which, as a reminder, if you've not seen the first couple of episodes, Chrome is a term that's used to describe things that look nice in board games, deluxe versions of board games, things that, maybe some cool art gimmicks, that sort of thing that don't really affect the mechanisms of the game, but that they do provide some enjoyment and enrich the theme. And just to remind you that I am not an artist or a carpenter, but I am enthusiastic about gaming, and so that's kind of what I'm doing here, is kind of doing my own thing and kind of sharing with you, because we're in this age where we can share, things with people if they're in a niche hobby, as we are in a now niche hobby, but growing all the time. And so in this episode, as the others, we will look at some small ways that I've made some upgrades for gaming, and some larger ways that I've done that. So without further ado, the third episode. Thanks for watching. Okay, so first off, we're going to look at a medium upgrade to a game I would consider, which is just a Papercraft terrain. This is what I use for a game called Desperado. I saw that at a local gaming convention one time, and I thought it was kind of cool. They had a city set up, and so I looked at, oh, maybe I should do this too. It's not strictly a board game, but it is Desperado's not strictly a board game. It just comes in like a paper format, like a book format. And so I guess it's more of a war game. But this is kind of an opportunity to show something that you can really use throughout board gaming, and I'll talk a little more about that in this segment, so enjoy.
Ready? Okay. Alright, so this is an example of paper terrain. This is it's from a company called Whitewash City. I don't know him, and I don't get any money from him or anything like that. I just happen to like these. There's a lot of them on the market. I know Fat Dragon Games is another one. They do more dungeon-y type stuff. So that's just, you look at 3D paper terrain. So this is, Whitewash City, and so, there's various buildings and things throughout here. You make them all and this is like, you cut them all out with an X-Acto knife and a ruler. You cannot stress being careful and doing it properly. And I used to try to make stuff like this, and I used to have a real tough time doing that. In the past, when you find those books in the bargain bins and things, and it's like, make a ship or whatever. But scoring, you can buy a little scorer. I did not bring it out here, but it's just like a little plastic thing, and you run it along the ruler, and just along the line that you want to fold, and it kind of it scores it, makes it easy to fold. Invaluable tool. And then take a brush with some Mod Podge, brush on the Mod Podge, and just like you're painting it. Put them together, wait for them to dry. They're really pretty easy to do. If you have a friend or a spouse or some kind of significant other or whatever, it's kind of fun to do them in tandem. To work together while you're listening to something or whatever. It's going to be kind of fun. So we're going to get a little closer look into this city now. Okay, so here's like the barn. You can score these and open the doors up a little bit. And your guys can kind of like run around. I know this guy's not painted, but run around in there. And this is a nice big building, little sign up top, around the back, which you can't really see. There's another door that opens on the back side. Then we have a little graveyard here, paper grave. They all say fun things, whatever. I can't really read from my angle here, but they got cute little sayings, just like if you ever go to Tombstone, they have the Boot Hill Cemetery, and everybody has kind of whimsical things there on their tombstones. Then you got the little church here to accompany the graveyard, and then over here I made little nooses for the gallows, so somebody could be up here and you could be about to be hung, and some your pals could ride up and shoot you down and get you out of town or whatever. Then we have this establishment, the Grand Hotel, which has a little spot for maybe a lady or two to stand up here, beckon to the folk down below. And there's a lot of these. I kind of try to I guess there's none on this. Oh, over here we have a, roof, so you can stand on the roof to shoot. Doors to go in and out of. Little signs for the boots shop. Little signs here. These little paper walkways. They had these in the West. Technically they would probably be here, but I just kind of wanted to put them here. Little hitching posts for your horses. Watering hole troughs there. Assay office. These kind of bend pretty easily for me. I think they get a little too wet, and I think I demolished them. But a little, another saloon here. So it's kind of cool. Oh, this is actually this is the Madame Auroy's here. That's the Grand Hotel. So there's all sorts of different little businesses. And you could put in here. Like go to a hardware store to get dynamite to blow things up. You can put little cattle in here to come through and have a stampede or whatever. So I kind of try to do. There's a couple other buildings here. I try to make it so you could go through. Run around the back here and stuff and shoot and. Kind of give you strategic choices. We'll take a look at this is actually 1/3 of the whole thing. I couldn't fit all 3 boards, so this is just to give you an idea. Okay, so here's the other board. Here's the gun shop. There's some targets in there if you can see them. So you'd buy your gun, you'd go in there and you'd shoot at your targets or whatever, or you could be hiding in here to shoot at other people. This building actually was. The cool thing about this is So I bought a whole lot of these buildings, PDF form of these buildings, and I printed them all, or I had them printed off. But they come with actual. No, this is kind of curved. But they actually have a ton of extra signs. You can buy sign packs and things, and so I could probably make. I'm not exaggerating, 5 or 6 times the amount of buildings I have now, and have them all kind of still maintain kind of. I know this is the bank, and this kind of has more of a banky feel, but you could put this sign on here. You could really mix them up, or use the front of this building and not put the back of the building on, etc. So you can really do a lot with that. Put outhouses on things or connect them. Here's the water tower. We've got the train station here, and then you got some neat little. You can do anything. You got the, lumber here to stand behind. You've got the freight house here. I really like the way this building looks. And then you've got the let me just turn this here so you can see a little bit easier. Here's the, oops, there we go. Here's the sheriff's got the jail here, so, hey, I'm going to get you out of there, And then you got the laundry, so you can see the laundry hanging back here, different sheets and things and shirts and pants. And then you've got the blacksmith here. This outhouse actually belongs to another building on this side. So this is actually 2/3 of the boards. The other one I had some more I had some a ranch house and these big tents and things on that one. So you kind of could see that. So it's kind of but I just didn't have enough room to film all that. But so that's that city there. So let me just talk about this real fast. So as I said, this is not my design. I made these, technically made them, but they, in terms of put them together, but, these were designed by somebody else. There's a ton of them available now. You might think, this might feel more like a ward game to someone. They might think this is, why would I run my little guys around? I don't, want to do that. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because actually it has a lot of, so the Dice Town, I don't own this game, but Dice Town is a kind of a popular dice game where takes place in the Wild West, and there's a few different buildings. You could actually make that game and take these buildings and put the 5 of them right in a row, and man, it would liven up your, it would really, just from 5 different buildings, really make it look really, really sharp, and just be a little more exciting. Put a little more chrome on there. There's that. One of the biggest games you could do is actually Descent, because, and this is why I was showing you the paper terrain, is because other companies make paper terrain specifically for dungeons and role playing. But you could take each tile out of this, out of this game, and basically, put walls on everything. If you had 2 sets, you could just use the actual tile itself and use one side, and then its partner from another game you could flip over and put more walls and things. And so you could actually make a total functioning dungeon, a 3D dungeon for a game like Descent. And obviously there's tons and tons of these styled games that you can actually use paper terrain to to really dress up. And of course, if you've got 3 or 4 or 5 people that play a game like this, it might be cool. Throw on a good movie, or throw on a fantasy type movie, or Lord of the Rings or something, and everybody hangs out and kind of watches, and one guy girl scores, and the next person folds them, and the next person kind of glues them together, and the first guy or girl cuts them out, and so it can be kind of a fun thing to do, and you kill a Saturday like that or whatever, and then the next time you play, everybody's kind of excited, and you can add your little personal touches and things, but there's a lot you can do with this paper terrain. There's tons. There's like trees, and there's mountains, and pyramids. There's sci-fi worlds, dystopian futures, whatever. Any game that has miniatures, or not, like I said, Dice Town would be another great one to do buildings like this. Anything that really has buildings you can use, or just if you play Crossmaster Arena, that's another. So it's really kind of a limitless thing, and it's just a tool. It's a tool in a toolbox. So I think it's really pretty awesome. So I hope you enjoyed watching this part of it. Okay, so just some things I like to have on hand that make gaming a little more enjoyable. It's just like when you go camping. If you're better prepared, then you generally have a better, more enjoyable time. So here's just a few things I like to have in the game room to, just make things a little easier. I always like to have a few extra dice, just like a little pack. These are very small. It's nice just to, sometimes the game doesn't come with enough dice, or, you want to use it as a marker, like, oh, I just have to, that's 4 points of damage on that, or I just have to remember that's 2, or whatever, So it's just always nice to have some extra dice. One of the major things I like to have are these little bowls. These I got at they're like after New Year's maybe or something, where they're like super cheap. But anytime you play a game, it is nice to be able to have enough dishes to just dump out, various components. These come. Every time I play a game, I use these. It's invaluable to have nice little bowls. That's another thing. I used to use these as threes. You can kind of fit cards in here too. I like these other little ones a little better, just because they're a little more shallower, and it's easier to grab things. I should say that it's nice to have something that you can grab them out a little better. And and then these have to be in a 3. So this is what I used to use, but then I found these and they're actually cheaper. So I really like the way that is. Having a timer. I actually want to get a kind of a fancier timer. I think it'd be kind of cool. Sometimes if you're playing with somebody that has AP, have a little timer. I don't know, sometimes it's nice. I know we all have our cell phones now, so that's probably moot, but I just thought it'd be kind of cool to have a nicer timer. And we were at Disney one time, and they had these big, huge, but they were, and it was like $30, but it was pretty cool. It was a big honking one, but it was I think it was like an hour or something is the time that they held, which, I don't want to give my partner an hour to take a chance to go. Then this one actually was, I believe the Game Boy Geek said something about this here on the channel. Having these cups, they're pretty inexpensive, and you can close them up nice, and then the risk of spillage is non-existent. So that's a really cool little thing, thanks to the Game Boy Geek. I hope that's who said that. And this is probably one of my favorite things to have. I hate dice everywhere, and it's, I don't know, something satisfying about, throwing dice into a dice bowl. I don't really use a tower, because it's I like to be able to throw my dice in. I know it's hard to show you this, and also to, not have the dice go down from gravity, but it's kind of nice to have the dice just sitting there and everybody can see what the results are. I find a dice tower, no offense to, dice towers are pretty cool, but generally I like the bowls better, because the dice tower does mix them up better, but it's easier for me to see and everybody to see. I find these. And then one last thing here I got here is a Lazy Susan, and you may think that this is really dopey, but if you put a board on here, it's pretty awesome to. I've only used it a few times. I remember using it for Suburbia. We were playing a 4-player game, and then we just set the board, the market on here, and then if it was this person's turn, we just kind of spun it around so they could see it a little easier. Lazy Susan's pretty cheap, and it's kind of a cool little thing. And like any kind of dexterity game or anything that you really kind of want to be closer or whatever, it's just a kind of a nice thing. I actually played a game of Rampage with my family. I went back home and visited my family, and we kept having to move around the table to flick the discs and move around. And I thought, oh man, if only I had my Lazy Susan, it would have made it a lot easier for everybody. So it's kind of just a neat little thing. Oh, and I lied. I actually have one more here. I'm going to get this from off camera. These, my lovely wife made for me. Painted them are silver and purple if you watched the last episode. Card holders. And we use these every time. So I use a dice tower anytime I have to roll, or the dice bowl anytime I have to roll dice. Essential. And then I use these every time I play because as long as the game has any number of pieces. And anytime it's a card game, absolutely, even if it's not, even if you use cards in a game, always use these. I mean, it's just very nice to be able to, I guess I should have had cards handy, but it's nice to just kind of be able to, like, put it here, and then you can look, and you're like, there's my hand, And I know that seems like all of these things seem kind of silly, but, like, as I said before, with camping, it's just like if you're prepared and you have a, you have your poncho and it rains, man, you're a lot happier, and just that little thing, just having your cards available to look at is just so much nicer. Well, thank you. It's just so much nicer just to be like, I know that seems like a little effort, but it's just kind of nice to, okay, well, it helps you make your decisions a little faster, and it just makes everything a little more enjoyable. So, I mean, they're so cheap, I think the color these came with is pretty hideous, but, you could easily, she painted these with brush, but it was pretty easy, I think, to spray paint these as well, and then you could just, have them in your particular colors like we do. So there's just a few little things to make your game a little more enjoyable.
Okay, so the next game we're going to look at, the big shiny and chrome game to end the episode. I want to show you this picture here as a hint as to what that will be. So you see there H.P. Lovecraft. So without a doubt it is Arkham Horror, the very popular game set in Lovecraft's world. Now, this doesn't just cover Arkham Horror. It covers Dunwich Horror, Kingsport, and the Innsmouth expansions. So it covers that whole game. Now, I have a couple things to say before you watch it. Okay, number one, I don't own this game anymore, but before I got rid of the game, I did film it. Okay, so the audio got, I don't know, something bad happened to the audio, so I have to I'll be talking over a film, so it won't necessarily match up as well. You'll notice maybe I might be like, I guess I was pointing at this right now. I'm not really sure. So forgive me on that. I hope you do enjoy the video anyway. I usually kind of show a piece of the map, but I'm not going to do that. It's just the board is kind of locations, and you're going around to these locations and houses and things, and performing encounters there and fighting monsters, etc. So I don't have the board anymore with me, so you'll have to forgive me for that. This is the first time this one was the first game I ever made like a deluxe version of, and so I think there's pretty cool stuff in there, but I also, like that, there's a lot of things I would have changed and done differently. So we'll talk about that in the hindsight, future sight type thing. So without further ado, here's Arkham Horror.
Okay, so here is the world of Arkham Horror. You can see that's the full board. It's a 3x6 board, and you can see they're separated by 1x6 pieces here. I'm going to show you, hopefully with my foot, there you go, that they break into pieces so that you can hopefully store it easily, although that in itself is also not necessarily true since it still takes up a lot of space. So in the top there we've got Arkham, Innsmouth, Kingsport, Dunwich, and then the top whole pieces. Those three pieces are for Arkham. Then you'll see on the right-hand side there, that's where I've got the other world locations. That's the sky there. There's a clear like tube with a piece of plexi on top, and then I've got the moon and the clouds there, and then there you can see there's a little monster ready to fly around in there. So that's the sky. And you got I had to switch some of the layouts of the board so that I could run the train track up the side. I mean, it still stays true to the actual game board, but I did have to just kind of mirror flip them so that train track could run up the whole side of the board, so it wouldn't kind of like an inconsistent thing. So you can see that there. So I have the little areas. Okay, so here's the curiosity shop here. You can see that it has the cards in there, right in the thing there, so the reasoning that I have all the pieces are right in the game. So you can kind of just set the game up and it's ready to play. Obviously, this game has a ridiculous amount of components, so it's nice to have that in there. And then you'll see the larger. Okay, so there's a Arkham Asylum with the Madness tokens. So I tried to make it thematically linked so you can remember easily where your pieces were, and you know, and but also have to make sense. And then every location has to have one of those bigger buildings that has the location cards, location counters. And then I did, yeah, here we go. So those are in those specially larger boxes. These are all. Okay, so here's a closer look to go in here to Innsmouth. Here's the water area. I took tinfoil, crumpled it up, and put it on there on some plaster to create a like a watery effect. Let it dry. Something I saw online. Thought it was pretty cool. Painted it a bunch of different blues and greens to give it a good area, a good look there. Here's the 2 water locations that are only accessible by boat or through the other water location. Here's Falcon Point. You can see the little dock there, a little house. That's got the location cards for this area. Okay. There's a little beach area there. This part of the board here, you'll see sustained some damage. The Strange High House in the Mist got some damage, and then there's a cut in the lighthouse there. And so there's a causeway, though, that area there, and then there's the Strange High House itself with the changed cards inside, and then if you look on the right there, you can see the spot that you can stand. I'm showing you the trees here. The Innsmouth has these green trees, and then the birch tree, or excuse me, evergreen trees. Dunwich has got green trees, and Arkham has got the fall foliage, just so you can kind of tell at a quick glance where you're at. There's not 2 unfinished buildings. That's one of them sitting there. Whoops. Okay, so this is going to be the Esoteric Order of Dagon with a suitably creepy feel to it, and that's got the Innsmouth look cards in there, of course. There's one of the the jail. That's the jail. It's got the jail cards. The Innsmouth jail. Ha. Sorry, I'm trying to. I haven't played this in a while. So here's Saint Aramis. Let's see, Saint Aramis there with the location cards in there. There's another closer look at the sky. Again, that's a plastic tube with a piece of plexi, and then it's kind of like set into another one of those half circles. A couple extra cards floating around there for some reason. There's the Neil's Curiosity Shop. Can't remember what that building is. The Rope and Anchor. There we've got there some money in there, for lack of a better place. There's the lighthouse again, and okay, here we go with Dunwich. Here's the There's the Devil's Hop Yard. I just cut some corn stalks, the corn off of them to create that. Lazy endeavor. There's I think that's that's the Waitley's house with the Dunwich Horror growing inside of it. There's I did that trees effect again here with the little trees to make that clearing. Can't remember what that clearing is called. You can see the Wizard's Hill and Sentinel Hill here. And there's the Waitley Farm. Little barn there with the green kind of creeping up the sides of it there. And that's got the location cards for that area in there. And we've got the Village of Dunwich. I did a couple buildings there to try to create an effect there. There's the bridge for the train. Train bridge there. There's a little monster hanging out. Little roadways there. You can see I just did them out of paper. I wish I had done them a little differently. Here's Arkham itself. I'm going to get a little closer here. You see I used 3 different size buildings here for varieties, to keep it varieties. Save going, I don't know if I said that or not yet. Here's the Silver Twilight Lodge. Got those columns, very regal with the lodge cards in there. And I can't remember what this building is. It's got it's like a hotel. Aha, and it's got the people in there, the characters. Okay, there's the witch house. Ooh, witch house. And there's the location cards in there for that. And here's Historical Society. I left the roofs on these buildings as I kind of like try to make the roofs patterns on them to give it a little better feel. I wish I had done a better job at formatting those, I guess. There's the other unfinished building. That's got the blessing and curses. I never got around to that. Here we've got St. Mary's Hospital with the health. Health is in there. And then there's the forest there, the bandits forest or whatever with a I use these tree branches and I just put them all together so it created kind of a spookier feel for that forest. There's the magic shop, and that's got the magic spells in there, of course. Where else? And yeah, we're getting a little closer in. There's the cemetery. You can see that there. Those are just those little spooky town pieces from the cemetery. There's a general store, says so right there. And that, of course, has the general store items in there. And there's the science building with the clue tokens. And I can't remember what that other building is there. Oh, there's the administration. You've got the that makes sense. The skills you can learn. You know that's school. Right. There's Nameless. I put the Yellow Kings pieces in there just because I needed a good spot to put them, and there really isn't a good Nameless thing in there. A good Nameless anything thematic to put in there, so that was fine with me. There's the docks and the uninvited aisle. Very. I wish I could have done a little larger aisle, but you know, they have those pieces there to show you the rules and the locations, so I couldn't make the aisle much larger. There's the train station. I believe I showed you that earlier. Oh, there's where I put I just moved that so you can, so I can get closer to the buildings. There's the train tickets in there, or the rail passes or whatever. Again, there's the curiosity shop. I showed you that a little earlier. Here's either Independence Square or Town Hall. I can't remember which one that is. There's Arkham. I like the way I cut that top out to give it a more of a 3D effect. That I think is Independence Square actually. And then there's the Bank of Arkham. That's got the bank loans in there. Suitably. That's why I put the rope and anchor. That's why I put the money in the rope and anchor. There's Velma's Diner. Cut out also. I really like the way I cut that top out. Although it looks like it's got some spider webs on there. And that's got a relationship card in there. Because that's diner stuff, you know, you sit and you talk and get to know people. There's Hibbs, which broke off there, Hibbs Roadhouse. The location card's right in there, so that's that. And I think you got another building on the other side there. Yes, the police station. Thought that had some cards in there, but I guess not. There's like the street areas there. I wish I had done. I wish I had done something differently for the street areas, but this is a first project. Here's the otherworldly areas. I took plexi, cut it, you know, made a long path out of it and put it on a couple boards so you could stand on top of there. And then I copied these a bunch and then cut them to create a 3D effect. So you'll see, you know, that's underneath plexi, and then I layered it to create almost like a pop-up look. So you can kind of see there, you know, a sense of that. It's not the easiest thing to get a sense of on this. On the video, but I think I take one of these out here in a second here to show you. Yeah, there we go. Pull that one out of there. Get out of there, thing. There you go. And so I'll just show you here. I've got there you go. So I just curled up a little tape. Wasn't real scientific about it, just to give a, you know, those certain points, get them farther and farther out to create an illusion. You can kind of get a sense there. So I did like the way that this part of it came out. I would have liked I would have liked to have done. I think, you know, the board itself. Now watching some wargaming stuff, I really could have made the ground itself look a little more varied and a little more interesting. The Strange House in the Mist, the mountain there could have been a lot better. As I said, this was my first project, so there's a lot of things that I learned since that I would do a little different. I also probably wouldn't do such a big project all at once. That's a look at Arkham Horror. I hope you enjoyed it. And until next time. Closer look.